No mercy, telling it like it is.
What are you thinking?
You need help.
How to ruin your career in 3 easy steps.
I can't. Deputy police chief shows up at Florida prostitution sting with white cloth.
As you know, we seek out the victims of human trafficking, and in order to do that, you do prostitution stings. Well, when you do these operations, as this one was hugely successful, we'll talk about Friday, you arrest Johns who are seeking out prostitutes as well.
Okay.
Well, let me introduce you to what I consider a high-profile arrest. This is Deputy Chief Jason DePrima of the Cartersville Police Department. As I understand it, after talking to his chief, he's been there almost 30 years.
The way he did it. This guy, he said, I'm about to go on. Carly, bring me the picture.
Did you notice I said in town? But he was out of town. That's right, he was at an American Polygraph Association meeting in Orlando, Florida.
Oh, no, that's what he told his officers?
Let me say this clearly. I don't want you to miss it. Driving an unmarked vehicle that was normally assigned to the DEA task force, meaning their officer assigned to the task force would have driven this vehicle. But apparently his vehicle was not so good to make the trip, so he's in one of the undercover vehicles. When he shows up at our undercover operation in the government vehicle, carrying alcoholic beverages, apparently some Bud Light for himself, and White Claw for our undercover operative.
White Claw.
White Claw!
He bought a case of White Claw because she said she would like it. So ostensibly, this guy has come to have sex with a prostitute while driving the Cartersville Police Department undercover.
Wow, drinking a White Claw with a woman named Whitney.
And he was in possession of alcohol, which of course, had we not intervened, he was going to drink that, engage in sexual conduct, and ultimately get in his government vehicle and drive back to his hotel.
This guy is pissed.
But
I can hear it in his voice. This is a man that probably does everything by the book. He's really driving home. Their homeboy drove up in a government official vehicle. I can imagine him at home talking about this with his wife and saying, now you just don't do that, Carrie. I've been working with these, people for 30, 40 years, and I've seen a lot of stuff, but I ain't never seen nothing like this. We gotta make an example out of that boy. No!
This is Jason DePrima, 49 years of age.
No!
His picture at the Polk County Jail. That's right, and let me tell you the story.
Y'all about how?
He is texting with, guess what, our undercover detective. He started this conversation with her on Wednesday night where he was going to show up, but he became spooked. He didn't say why, but on Thursday night, he just couldn't resist the urge to be with our undercover detective, who he thought was a high-class prostitute. So he once again began to communicate. He asked how much the price is. She said $80, or a full half hour, $120. He said, I'm in.
That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. Now, you ain't gonna cheat on me and spend our money. $120 for a half an hour, that's a lot of money. That is a lot. Where is his wife? What does she have to say about this? Because you know he got one.
But the conversation is very interesting. He told her before the takedown occurred that the night before he had engaged with another prostitute online for $200.
That's an addiction. People can be also not only addicted to sex, obviously, you can be addicted to the act of sex. You can be addicted to multiple random partners, like feeling like, oh, you're not knowing how this experience is going to be. You can also be addicted to getting away with things, to lying and getting away with stuff. It's like a perpetual cycle of a high. I'm doing something sneaky. Oh, now it's fun. Now there's a reward. And now did I get away with it? Did I get away with it? Did I get away with it? And it just goes over and over and over and over and again. And once these motherfuckers start this cycle, I've been in this before. It's not over until they get caught, but it's not just when they get caught. Let me be very clear. They have to feel bad about what they've done. And a lot of them are not going to feel bad. Sorry, I'm very angry right now. A lot of them are not going to have to feel, they're not going to feel bad. And the thing is, you cannot shame someone into recognizing their bad behavior. They must feel the guilt on their own accord, which means you let them know what the fuck is up, let them know that it's unacceptable, and then you walk away and you let them sit in their own pain. And if nothing changes, then they're a piece of shit and it's time to go. God, I hate these motherfuckers.
App card. You know, you can buy them at the convenience stores, and he did for $200. And then she said, I want you to take a photograph.
Someone said, do you think he feels guilty? I think that this piece of shit right here is more upset and embarrassed that all of his fellow officers know what he did rather than the way that he has betrayed his wife.
Feel real bad. I got caught. Might do it again.
That's what I think. He's more upset about his reputation and the officers. It all started with his wife. Now it's about the officers. He's lost her a long time ago. He's not even in the mix.
Of it, so I know you've got the money.
Little stinker.
Well, duh. He took a photograph
That's how
and sent it to the alleged prostitute on Wednesday night.
That's how they capture you. In order to arrest you, there has to be either an exchange of money or a very clear intent to exchange money.
You're not going to believe this. You can't even believe this. Now, this guy's a cop, and he was flim-flammed and conned by a prostitute. That's right. She took the information off of the card, got the $200, and left him high and dry. He was ripped off in a confidence scam with a prostitute
In
or
his own
who
job.
was alleged to be a prostitute.
In his own job.
So that was on
Flim-flam.
Wednesday. Then he talks. He's not giving up. Thursday night at just before midnight, he shows up. He shows up with his White Claw, and it's like, what are you thinking? You're a deputy chief, a high-ranking official in a very respected police department, and you're showing up with White Claw and 2 Bud Lights, and we're not sure whether he can do math or not, okay? Because the deal is for $120 for a half hour, a full half hour.
How much did he bring?
He shows up with 180.
Oh, okay.
He shows up with 180 and says, I can send you the rest of it on a Cash App, but I had to stop to buy the White Claw. So for some reason, I don't know if he's planning on extra time.
Yeah, he is.
He can't add.
I was gonna say that.
He wants to leave a tip.
Roast him.
He wants to impress this person.
He was about to
But
say
listen
something
to
else.
his text. He's real suspicious. I guess you would be after you got ripped off the night before.
Leak the text.
Listen to his text. If you're legit as you seem, we will have fun.
Let's be clear. It's not fun for her. She's working, and you're a piece of shit. You're having fun. So, men, can we stop with this? Let's have a little fun. No one's having fun. She's working. Thank you.
If not, I'm riding around with a case of White Claw, feeling girly. Well, he got to feel arresty when we put him in jail. So we put him in jail late on Thursday night under a $500 bond. He didn't get out of jail until Saturday morning at 4 o'clock. So he got to spend, almost 2 complete nights in the county jail. So now he's gone from deputy police chief. As I understand, he's suspended pending their disciplinary actions, and he's facing criminal charges here in Polk County. If all else fails, he can write a book, How to Ruin Your Career in 3 Easy Steps.
Wow.
Start out by going to Florida to a polygraph association school. then lie to the detectives when they investigate and ask you questions. Oh, he made admissions. But it's like, I wanted to ask him, since he's a polygrapher and was at polygraph school, would you like to take a polygraph with those answers you gave us? How would that work for you?
Oh my God.
You just want to go, come on, man.
Yes, this is Grady Judd, the sheriff of Polk County, Florida. He's been in his position since 2005. This guy's straight arrow.
Have you lost the last 3 brain cells? Or do you just have cabbage for brains? Why would you do that? Anyway, he's charged. He's managed, obviously, to create a great deal of angst with his family. His police chief is angry beyond words, which I certainly clearly understand. He's embarrassed the city. He's been a police officer there for a long time.
Give it to him. Give it to him, Grady.
Facing criminal charges in Florida. Are there any questions?
I don't have anything. Just call on me.
What he said when he was arrested?
What he said was he came there to hang out and watch football. Well, that was a partial admission. He admitted sending the text that we received that's part of the evidence. But, you know, you have to look at things to say, one, is it legal? Is it moral? Is it ethical? And does it pass the smell test?
It passed the smell test. And let me just say, I don't know if you guys can see it too well here, especially if you're on mobile. What do we see right here? This ring on Grady's finger. Grady said, "I'll wear this proudly." You know, he ain't going to hang out with people and taking his ring out. I'm telling you, this man's a straight arrow right here. Grady Judd.
He lost on all 4 points. It's neither legal, ethical, moral, or passes the smell test.
Okay, now.
And I think what he should have done was say, hey, if I'd have asked my chief or my wife, is it okay to go hang out with a girl over 20 miles away and watch football while I drink beer and she drinks White Claw? Is that okay?
If he says White Claw,
I think he would have gotten his answer. You would have thought, as a high-ranking police officer, well-respected, he would have known better. And now he's got lots of issues, home issues, work issues, criminal issues. What he's got going here is a situation, and he's in the middle of it.
Oh, that's a TikTok audio right there.
What he's got going here is a situation, and he's in the middle of it. Now,
Yeah,
you've
he's
heard
making
me
an example out of
stand
him.
right here behind this podium before about some of our folks who periodically, we've got over 1,000 deputies. Occasionally one of them does something inappropriate, and when they do, we arrest them. My detectives, who are simply the very best, arrest them, and I stand up here and I'll walk all over them about their criminal conduct. Other police agencies, but it embarrasses me for our industry anytime you see this, because the people have a right to and expect better of us. He embarrassed our entire industry with his arrest.
Yes,
you know
he did,
what?
Grady.
Here's one thing you can count on. Write this down in your little book. You come here, you violate the law, we're going to put you in jail. We don't care who you are, because you become a criminal defendant and a criminal violator of the law, we're going to arrest you.
Oh my God.
That's just the-
You know why that's so important? Well, obviously, it's because we hear so often about like police stations covering up for their own, you know? Sometimes they got each other's back. Dude, we see it all the time in different industries. We see it in the entertainment industry all the time. Like, this is just what groups do to protect themselves. They protect people that shouldn't be protected and then throw other people under the bus. And what Grady Judd is saying right here, he's like, not here, not in Polk County. We ain't gonna do that here. This might be Florida, but we got some bones of justice in our body, and we intend to use them. He made an example out of this man, and I am here for it. Grady Judd says teens will be charged as adults in the death of a Polk City librarian.
First off, I want to introduce you to Suzette Penton. She has 2 sons. One of them's named Hunter. By the way, we're only using their names because they gave us permission. That's the only way we can use their names because of the new Marsy's Law. But Suzette is the librarian for the city of Polk City. For those of you who aren't from this area, Polk City is a community of about 1,500 people. It's quaint, it's quiet, it's almost crime-free. It's a wonderful community. And Suzette Penton helped make it a wonderful community with the work she did with the children at the library.
Thank you for your service, Suzette.
She always went above and beyond. You can see here, and if you go on the Facebook pages, her different faces as she would dress up and paint up as she had programs for the young children in and around Polk City.
Dude, librarians are always nice. Sure, you might get like that loner kind of librarian, but most of them are loners because they're like, you know, I don't want to mess with the teachers. I don't want to do all that. I just want to be surrounded by my books. I want to tell you what books to read, and I just want to chill, okay?
And here's what happened on November 9th. She left with her youngest son to run to the store for a few minutes. Little did she realize at that moment in time that directly across the street in a park, there were 4 people in a van. They were there waiting to go beat up Hunter. Now you say, why did all that occur? Well, here's what the rendition is as we understand at this point in the investigation.
No.
Kimberly Stone, who was 15 on that day, by the way, she turned 16 while locked up in juvenile detention. That was our birthday present to her. She got to serve it locked up. Was the ex-girlfriend to Hunter Penton. They hadn't dated for about 6 months. Her new boyfriend is Elijah Stansel. He's 18 years of age. Well, Kimberly had been communicating back and forth online with Hunter and with other people, and also having, I would call it a post-dating disagreement, ongoing disagreement, where they were yeah-yaing and threatening and talking trash to each other. It was so bad that the school system had warned Kimberly, and in fact, on that very day, the 9th, had brought her in and suspended her from school, which was to start the next day, for her outrageous conduct.
Let's just put this really simply, really quick before we even continue on with this. If you are a woman or a young girl, and for some reason you feel the need to pit your exes against each other, you need help. And I understand that there are some people that for some reason your brain tells you to do that. You're called, whatever the case is, you need help. That is not normal. I don't care what happened in the relationship, close it up and move on. You are not going to pit 2 people against themselves. That's for you. And you need to go get your self-esteem somewhere else. And second of all, if you are a boy or girl, you know, and you get into a new relationship with somebody and they start talking shit about their ex and pulling you into it, you need to leave.
Is Scott here?
You know what? He just left.
You are not here to do their bidding. You are not here to prove that you're better than the other guy or the other girl. You are here to start a new relationship and move forward and grow into better people and better things, not to, you know, beat down the old competition. Think about these things logically, just outside of how they make you feel, because in these situations, both of these things make both parties feel good because they're better than the other person. I talk about this all the time. It's called intimacy bonding over a common enemy, and that intimacy is not real because the minute that both of you get locked up, you're both gonna fucking turn on each other. We've seen it so many times. Do not pass go directly to a therapist.
So she, and some of her rants and arguing back and forth in person and on social media, just said, well, I'll get my boyfriend and we'll come beat you up.
For what?
So after school that very day that
For
she was suspended, and it was to start like the next day, she gets with her best friend, Hannah Eubank, and another friend by the name of Raven Sutton. Hannah's 14 and Raven's 16. And then they get with Elijah, and Elijah drives a van.
I
up
can't
to
believe this.
Hunter Penton's house.
The four fucking
Suzette's
stooges.
son.
Here they are right here.
Understand that Elijah didn't even know where Hunter lived. Kimberly had to direct them to the Polk City house. Now, it might interest you to know that the van...
The other thing too, I know that this shouldn't be gender specific, but I'm just going to talk about it in terms of this situation, okay? If you're a guy and you were raised by an overbearing or controlling mother, you may get into a relationship with a woman that's also a little bit overbearing and controlling. If that's what you like, that's fine. Some guys prefer to be a little more submissive and they're attractive to dominant women. That's okay. You need to assess where her heart is at, okay? Is she good or is she evil? And honestly, it's very fucking easy to tell. That's okay if you like dominant people, you want to be more submissive, you know, whatever the case is, but you need to make sure that the person that you're following around is a good person. It is very easy to tell. If you take away the feelings of, oh, this activates my attachment style, and you decide, wow, is Kimberly kind of a piece of shit? Then you're going to realize you're following around the wrong person.
van that he was driving, that he had permission to use and apparently used frequently, belonged to the Westwood Missionary Baptist Church, where his father was not the lead pastor, but was one of the pastors at the church. So they all pile in the church van from Westwood Missionary Baptist, and they go, and they're actually parked across the street and watch Suzette leave to go to the store. We have a video clip for you to see that really tells the rest of the story. They go up to the front door, being Elijah, Raven, and Hannah. The instigator of all this stays in the van. Kimberly stays inside the van.
Wow.
They knock on the front door. Well, at the Penton house, their main ingress and egress is the side door, so Hunter comes out the side door to see what's happening. Hunter has no idea that they're coming up there to fight him. When he comes out the side door, Elijah immediately confronts him in the carport and starts beating him up, where a fight ensues. Elijah is fighting with Hunter. Raven gets a couple of shots in during the fight, the best we can tell with the pieces of video we have. And Hannah is taking photographs or video in this.
Then they leave the house.
About that time, unexpectedly, Suzette comes back. She arrives. When she comes back, we see that our ringleader here, along with the other two, just kind of hurry off back to their van.
What was this
Suzette actually sees the fight. She gets out and goes to the van in her car. Suzette is trying to take photographs of the getaway van.
Oh my God. Okay, Suzette. Oh no, what is about to happen?
Elijah stands still.
Dude, okay. I thought, I'm getting a little stressed. I have no idea what's about to happen in the case. I don't know how she passed. I thought that they were going to say that they came into the house and they rushed her son and then she stepped in to protect them. But it looks like she literally watched them get away and she took a video of them leaving the scene.
The getaway van.
That's actually the video that she took of them leaving the scene. I don't know what's about to happen.
Elijah stands still. Elijah stands still, runs over her, completely over her. She has tire tracks on her body.
Are you
where he
fucking
runs
kidding me?
Totally over her. As we speak today, Detective Fulcher from our homicide team is on his way to the South County Jail,
my God.
where he's still locked up.
Oh my God. They all got into the car and Suzette walked in front of the car. I think before she could even get a word out to say, like, you know, what the fuck or whatever, he just floored it. I talked about this a little bit before. If you guys saw the Richard Poplowski video, to me, this looks just like, a piece of shit, and also the escalating behaviors. You know, we've broken into somebody's home, we've committed an act of violence, and now nothing is essentially off of the table, especially with all of these things happening so rapid fire. This guy just ruined his fucking life. For what?
Interestingly enough, The 3 juveniles have been waived over by the state attorney's office from juvenile
To adult.
court to adult court.
Thank you.
They are still locked up in juvenile detention,
Thank you.
but are now facing adult charges
As they should. This,
of attempted murder that were originally filed, and as well as there was a burglary to an occupied residence and a battery. All of those are serious felonies. They now have a bond. So under the juvenile system, they would have had to have been released at 21 days.
Chat, one in the chat if you think that they should be tried as adults because at their age they know what they're doing. 2 in the chat if you think that they were still kids and they could be easily swayed and they should be tried as juveniles. You guys probably know what my opinion is, but I try to kind of frame things with options because you can be a 1 or you can be a 2, but you know, I'm curious. You know, somebody said 1.5, somebody said hard 1. That's okay. They have to be tried as adults. To me, if they're tried as juveniles, some of them are going to get off after 4 years, 5 years, something like that, 2 years. Some of them wouldn't even serve. I'm very interested to how this plays out.
Or they would have had to negotiate a program. Our team has been working hand in glove with the state attorney's office.
Running over a person
The
is
state
very
attorney,
deliberate.
Brian
Yes.
Haas, and I have talked, and we're all exceptionally upset.
Also, in groups, you will do things you wouldn't normally do in order to impress the group. When the group is doing violent acts, it becomes a competition of who can be the most violent, who can do the absolute worst thing. When he pressed the gas on that pedal, he knew exactly what he was doing. And I mean, like, maybe he didn't even think it was going to kill her, but he did it to impress his group. He's more hardcore, escalating the behavior. Like, that's what it is. Groups like this will get you in trouble.
What started out as a bunch of kids going to go up there and be a thug, going to be a tough person, going to beat up a guy over because he used to date Kimberly, turned into a murder. A murder. He controlled and could have stopped the murder, but he's the one, he's the driver that in the church van ran over and killed this beautiful lady who is so well thought of in the city librarian. This was witnessed by a lot of people. One of them worked for county utilities. He did what the people of Polk County are expected to do. He followed the suspect vehicle, the van, south on Berkeley Road and called 911 and continued to follow the van and give updates until the Auburndale Police Department and the Sheriff's Office could intercept the vehicle as it was traveling southbound.
Also, can I just say, are you guys picking up what I was saying about Grady? You know, little grace, no mercy, telling it like it is. Also, a great storyteller. I am listening with bated breath.
Kimberly went to Auburndale High School. Hannah went to Auburndale High School. And I believe Raven went to Stepping Stone Academy. What's interesting about this, with the exception of Hannah Eubanks, which has a really bad attitude.
Oh.
She was arrested once
Spill.
in October or charged criminally
Hannah
in the
Eubanks.
juvenile system for giving false identification to law enforcement. But other than that, none of them have any criminal history. Zero. So they went from being rowdy, out of control juveniles on this day to Elijah's charged with murder. And certainly we've got attempted murder charges still in place, as well as burglary to an occupied residence and battery, which are F1s.
If you are a rowdy or you have some juvenile delinquency, maybe your grades aren't so good, something like that, you're kind of painted as a bad egg or something in high school, you can always be reformed. Honestly, fuck Kimberly. But those 3 other kids, every single one of them could be reformed. All you need are emotional tools to handle your emotions, which you've never been taught at home, and you need a purpose that's greater than yourself. And it takes a while to find that, of course, but in this case, Kimberly gave them purpose. Everybody's looking for purpose. She said, hey, I want you guys to go beat this guy up, and now you're gonna be badasses, right? Any of these kids could have been reformed. So if you're in that bucket, you can be. I was in that bucket a long time ago. You can always get better. But when you make choices like this, you ruin your entire life. How many of you guys, when you were growing up, were in the at-risk teens or the juvenile, juvenile delinquent kind of cat? I wasn't a delinquent, but I was an at-risk teen, and I was fighting a lot, And it's been a long road, but life is great now. Life is great. It's amazing. It's wonderful. There is a way out. You're going to be okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us today.
Good morning, Grady.
I am going to introduce you to a child predator, an evil, mean, nasty human being.
Thank you, Grady.
This man's name is Kansas Sadler Jr. It's really a sad story because at 41 years of age, he had just retired out of the military where he was an Army Ranger. That's right, he was not only an Army Ranger, but then he was an Army Ranger trainer.
You know what I hate about the portraits of the deputies afterwards? They look so sad. They look so embarrassed because they're the ones finally getting the mud shot. You knew what you were doing.
So he went from a decorated war hero to a deputy sheriff for the Okaloosa Sheriff's Office. And from there, we determined what his inner soul really is, and that's to be a child predator. He was online. He went online to a gaming app where there's interactive gaming called The Wolf.
VR chat with the wolf.
That's where he interacted with our victim, who was a 9-year-old female. She pretended to be an 11-year-old female. So he goes on this app and he pretends to be an 11-year-old female by the name of Jade. Jade was not an 11-year-old female. Jade was an Okaloosa deputy and Army Ranger, retired.
Imagining a 30, 40-year-old man pretending to be a 9-year-old child is the most cringe and creepy thing that I can what?
Jade, he says, oh, I'd like to introduce you to my dad's friend, Jason.
That's him! Is that him?
And then he says, and I've been having with Jason, my dad's friend.
We live in an actual nightmare!
And it was a setup, right? Was it a setup?
And Jade,
or was it a real child?
Know,
do we have a parent that's a hero in the story that's going to find... I don't know what's about to happen. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to throw up.
Kansas, all of a sudden started grooming our victim, who's only 9 years old. And then he introduces her to nasty terms about photographs.
Don't say it, Grady.
And then he also wants our 9-year-old to take pictures of herself.
Oh my fucking God.
And send to him, which after he grooms her.
Dude, okay, this is what I really like about Grady, because this is the second time that I've seen him just slamming on an officer. Some people, some deputies, they are so afraid of the shame of, one of their own being caught doing something that, maybe they'll discharge them and try to cover it up, or maybe they'll try to act like it never happened. Grady does exactly what we are supposed to do when there is a bad person in our community. Cast them out so far and condemn them. Condemn them so much that you're not even thinking oh, this guy was a part of the police force. This was the bad egg. This is what we're supposed to do with these people. Not cover it up, not be so afraid for our own egos. Shame them.
So now we've got a 9-year-old little girl who's our victim, a live victim.
Oh my God, she's real.
Who's being groomed by a Okaloosa deputy and retired ranger, and is a child predator. And so he advances this to nude pictures.
I cannot. Also, can you fucking imagine the officers that have to dig through these conversations and everything that have children?
It goes on for a couple of days.
That is so fucking dark.
What occurred next?
What happened, Grady?
Was the older sister to our victim tells mom, hey, I don't know what's going on, but sister is talking to a man online.
Thank you, older sister.
Mom immediately gets the child's cell phone.
Yep.
Is looking through the
oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
Logs, and the phone rings.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. Is it him?
And she answers it.
I'm gonna cry.
And it's Jason wanting to talk to our victim. Well, of course, Mama just has an absolute total meltdown, says lots of things to him, none of which were nice.
Amen.
And then says, and I'm calling the cops.
Amen.
And she called us.
Amen. Amen.
You already know that our detectives that investigate sexual abuse of children and child predators and pornography are simply the very best in the business, and they were on the case instantly.
I have a request. If you are figuring out what you want to do with life, if you're unsure, if you're getting ready for college, if maybe you already are in college, if maybe you're still figuring out what trade you want to do and you're considering, oh, maybe I'll join the police force, or I don't even know, work for a law firm or something. There's 5,000 people in here. I would really love if just one of you, maybe even two of you, go really, really hard in preserving justice in systems like this. Like, if a single one of you watch my streams and decide, like, wow, I want to be the person to make sure that these motherfuckers go away and there's no corruption, please do it. Please do it. We need it. We really, really, really need it. We need more good eggs in the system. If you are figuring it out, that is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing to put your time and effort and knowledge into. It really is. You could save so many children. You could help so many women. You could help so many, like, people, false convictions, men, women, anything, anyone. Disenfranchised people in the system. Please, please do it. Literally part of my job, doing my best. Thank you.
Massive legend, eh?
And if you are somebody that I hope, I know that your jobs are long and exhausting. I really, really hope that justice is a priority for you. I know it sounds so corny that I'm asking for this, but it's just a reminder. It's important. Your work is important, and your job career, your path is very, very important. Okay, that's all I had to say.
It didn't take them very long to figure out that Kansas Sadler Jr. was the suspect, and they tracked him to Okaloosa County. We contacted our colleagues at the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, and let me tell you, Sheriff Ashley and his team are simply the very best. They're game on. They immediately were as angry and mad as we were.
Be one of those angry people.
No, they were more angry and mad because it was one of their rookie deputies who had worked with him less than a year and was still on probation. But they hired him because he had an illustrious history and a good background. They immediately began their investigation, and we teamed up. They filed charges there ultimately. We're filing charges here. Brad Copley is prosecuting this case for us, and he will work with the prosecutors out of North Florida. Now, you know Brad Copley is the best in the business, and he's as upset about this as we are. And upon conviction, we're going to send this guy to prison. So he can say in his resume, I was in the Army for 21 years, I was a Ranger, I fought wars, I was a deputy sheriff, I was a child predator, and now I'm a prison inmate. That's a sad commentary to what started out as a remarkable life.
How many years does he get for something like this? Also, we've talked about this, guys. What happens to PDF files in prison?
When you want somebody gone and you don't want to wait too long, call the immediate murder professionals.
You don't arrive at the age of 41 years old and do this for the first time. He didn't just happen to be on a gaming site grooming a 9-year-old child, and that's what he did. When he groomed her, he told her he wanted to meet her for he being Jason and Jade. He was playing 2 roles. When he found out our victim lived on the east side of the county, he said, "Oh, I live in Lakeland." Of course, Mom in the meantime answers the phone when he thinks he's going to talk to the 9-year-old. That's right. He wasn't just doing a mind game online. He was grooming this little girl on the telephone. Well, guess what? The Okaloosa Sheriff's Office and the Polk County Sheriff's Office are grooming him for state prison.
Oh.
And that's where
okay,
he's going
Grady.
to go.
Okay, I feel like Grady has to write down some of these lines behind the scenes, truly.
The message for the parents is simply this. If you're going to allow your 9-year-old child to have a phone that connects to the internet,
Okay.
that connects to gaming apps, you've got to know what they're doing. Because if you're not watching every second of every day, there's another child predator like this looking for your little boy or little girl. We're excited. For those who question, well, you arrest these people, you go online, you pretend to be a predator, but they've really not communicated with a real victim. Why do you do that? Here's why we do it. Because he was out after and actually hooked up with online a child who was naive until he educated her.
She was 9 years old. He got to her first before she learns anything about like education, these things, and he just swooped right in. When you guys were growing up, or if you're still growing up, whatever, you would hate if your parents were monitoring everything you did. Oh, you would hate it. It would be a nightmare, right? But now, after listening to that story or listening to the VR cult video that I put out, it seems a little scary just letting your kid float around on the internet with absolutely nothing. So what I suggest is make a plan. How do I monitor stuff that, you know, my kid is doing without being so intrusive that it ruins their life, right? Like, what does that look like? It's educating yourself about what's possible online, like where are these creeps hiding, what's going on. It's asking your child questions about how they're feeling, you know, things. You're an adult. Look, I'm sorry, a 10-year-old kid's not gonna lie that well. Ask them questions. Grill them on stuff. Make a strategized plan on how to protect them without ruining their lives by making them feel like they have absolutely no privacy. That's just my 2 cents. Educate yourself. Letting and see what apps are out there. Don't get too crazy, but you do want to protect them from this, because invading their privacy 100%, but also letting them be exposed to people like this, they're both incredibly dangerous.